Hi, Susanna Anderson here from the Are They All Yours blog at StephenAndersonFamily.com. I wanted to make a quick video today talking about hot car deaths. I'm sure that you have in the news recently heard about a baby or a young child left in the car, forgotten in the car, who died. And like many, you might wonder to yourself, how can anybody forget their child? I could never forget my child. These parents are negligent. These parents are bad. I'm here to warn you that this is something that can literally happen to anyone, including you. If you do not believe me, you are in the greatest danger. When people say they forgot their child, they are not talking about forgetting about the child's existence. Our memory has different types of memory, and that would be the retrospective memory, the ability to retain information and to remember that we are parents and that we have a child. However, the part of our memory that malfunctions when a child is forgotten in a car is prospective memory, when we make a plan to do something but we forget to execute that plan. That could be something as simple as remembering to buy something that we needed to pick up at the store. If we didn't write it down, we are likely to forget it. So a child gets forgotten in the car, not because a parent forgot that the child exists, but because they intended to take the child out of the car and for whatever reason they forgot it. And the one thing that all hot car deaths have in common is that there was a disruption in the usual routine. Typically, a parent who is not the primary caregiver will take the child with him, with her, to the store or to daycare and forgets the child because it's outside their routine. The third type of memory that actually suppresses prospective memory is habit memory, where we execute a lot of our daily actions simply through habit or a habit loop. And the minute that the parent gets in the car, starts the engine, starts backing out of the driveway, that autopilot takes over. And it's critical that that autopilot takes over because that is what allows our brains to react and have enough CPU, as it were, left to react to sudden dangers on the roadway, unexpected conditions, things like that. By making many of the processes we execute daily run on habit, our brain is freed up to respond to sudden and unexpected or new experiences. So when a child gets forgotten in the car, it's because there was some kind of a disruption in the usual routine. The parent got into that habit loop, the habit memory took over, and there was nothing to shake the parent out of the habit loop and remind them there was a child in the back seat. It can happen to anybody. If you are a human being, your brain too is wired this way. In fact, type A personalities, the highly organized, the very structured, are far more likely to experience this because they, more than anyone else, operate on routine and habit, and therefore they are more likely to accidentally, unintentionally forget their child. It is a very brutal way to die. Parents who have experienced this never forgive themselves for life. The best way to prevent this is by simply adding safeguards into your regular routine. And the best of these is to always visually inspect every car seat every time before shutting all the doors on the vehicle and locking the vehicle. Always check every car seat every time. Look before you lock and make that a point. Another very effective way to prevent this from happening is to put something that you were going to remember that you would never go to work or the store or whatever without, to put it back where the child is. That could be your purse, that could be your phone, that could be something as simple as a shoe, something that will remind you when you turn off the keys and you go to grab your purse, you go to grab your phone, you would never leave the car without those because those are always with you. So it's a habit, whereas the child is not always with you. It's out of the ordinary. That will remind you and connect those two. Another effective way is to have something in the child's seat that you move up to the passenger seat when the child is with you. I personally have a hang tag that I made that when the child or a child, I have 3 children in car seats that cannot unbuckle themselves. The older ones in boosters know how to get out on their own. But I hang this hang tag. You can hang this from your door handle or you can hang this from your rear view mirror. I use this to hang from my rearview mirror when I have a child in the infant seat or in one of the car seats that they cannot get themselves out of. Sometimes about 1/3 of the children that die in hot car deaths were not forgotten in a vehicle, but instead got themselves into a car. So it is very important to always make sure that every vehicle in your driveway is locked and that the keys are out of children's reach. If a child goes missing, one of the first places you should check is the cars and neighbors' cars. And one other thing you can do is to teach your older children the same habits of always check every car seat before you exit the back of the car or the back of the van. And you can also teach children as young as 3 and 4 that if they can get outside of their car seat but they do not know how to unlock the door, they could be taught to honk a horn or something of the sort. So if you think it cannot happen to you, please think again. It can happen to you. In fact, every time it happened to somebody just like you who thought it could never happen to them. And the best prevention is to realize you are not immune from this, and there are steps that you can and must take to ensure that this does not happen to you or your children. Thanks for watching.